Hey, what's up, guys? This is gonna be our labor law discussion. And so it just says answer three of the questions. So the first one, I'm gonna do number one. Do you believe that all college athletes are employees under the Common Law Right to Control Act? Why or why not? Um, this case, yes, I do believe they are employees under this test. If you look at it, the test basically says an employee is a person who performs services for another under contract for hire. They're subject to the other's control or right to control, and in return for payment. Um, if you just look at that first part, person who performs services for another under contract for hire, that is a student athlete off a rip, just because when you choose to go to school, you sign a contract, you sign your letter of intent that says that I'm going to come to the school. It also says that I'm going to perform this, that, and the other duties that will be required from a student athlete's perspective. You also look at basically the amount of control outside of the athletic aspect that they have, that each school has over their student athletes. They have um, just by they have their hand in their say in what a student athlete should be putting in their bodies and what a student athlete shouldn't or cannot put in their bodies. Um, they also have just game day and practice schedules alone can kind of, you can kind of say, oh well, that is they're meeting their labor requirements, they're doing these things under hire. But like I said, just outside of the sports aspect, they're closely monitored with what they do academically, what they do outside of class and practice, what they're doing with their free time is monitored and made sure it's taken under close consideration. They're also, when I was a student athlete, there was volunteer and certain I guess community service things that I had to do. I had to perform um, as just because I was a part of a team. Um, so I do believe yes, they are definitely employees under the right to control test. Uh, I will answer number two. Should athletes be able to unionize? What are some of the pros and cons of unionization of college athletes? I do believe they should be able to unionize if they do so choose. I think it should be. The only problem is I don't know if they should do it necessarily school by school, or I don't know, school by school, or if they should do one big, kind of student athlete union for the NCAA and Division One, Division Two. It'll kind of be weird to see how that all works out, but I do think they should. A pro would just be to have like a player panel, a player association that can kind of speak out for all the players on a particular campus. Um, a con might be that maybe some under this unionization, players and certain athletes will have to now see and look at a reality of maybe their sport isn't viewed as highly as another sport, and it may not be taken care of in a way that a different athlete of a more recognized or more uh, I guess a program that brings in more money may be taken care of. So that might be a con, and it might be something that will have to be dealt with on I think, school to school basis. But I do think they should be able to unionize. And I'm gonna answer number four. Number four asks, why do professional athletes want to limit the length of a sports season? What motivates team owners to negotiate for the greatest number of games possible in a season? Was the best way for players and owners to reach an agreement on this issue? Well, first, just to answer the first part, why would athletes want to limit the length of a season? Health reasons. Off rip for one. Just, I mean, if you look at baseball season, they have 165 games for I don't even know how many months, and then the season ends for, I guess for most people, the beginning of October, and then for the few other teams that keep going, late October, and then they get a winter off, and then spring training starts. It's like they really don't have very much downtime, and especially with baseball players being on the road and they're away from their families probably more than any sports, probably more than any professional athlete, I would assume. But that's just one reason. Just having an opportunity to kind of limit your sports season to be more healthy as a whole is a big deal. What motivates the owners to negotiate for the greatest number of games possible? Well, you're seeing this in the NFL. They want, if you get more games, you get more money because there's TV contracts. There's, you're going to bring more money because you're going to bring more people to the stadium. You're going to just make more money the more games you have. It's that simple. The best way for players and owners to reach an agreement on this issue is to have meetings with player unions. I mean, this happened in the NFL just this past year, where the NFL wanted to take away a preseason game and add a regular season game, and they did that by basically getting a contract together, getting a proposal together, and the league owners brought that to the NFL Players Association, and they agreed upon it, and that's how they now have the NFL has 17 games in their regular season instead of 16, which they had last year. But that's pretty much it, and that's it from me, guys. I hope you guys have a good Thanksgiving break, and I'll see y'all in a couple weeks.